Hi there, welcome to my channel Mandu to Fundu. In this video, I am going to demonstrate how to set up a private network DNS server. I assume the viewer has a basic knowledge in DNS concepts and how to use the multipass virtualization tool. If you are not aware of this tool, please check out my previous video and then a little bit familiar with Ubuntu 22.04. I am going to mimic all the virtual machines are created in a data center called SFO under the domain manduscloud.io. So the domain name will be sfo.manduscloud.io. Okay, let's create the DNS servers. Initially, there are no VMs. Now let's create a primary DNS server. Next, creating a secondary DNS server. Now let's create the hosts which are going to use those two DNS servers. Next, let's check the state of all the VMs created. Next, I'm going to configure the primary DNS server. Let's go to the primary DNS server shell prompt and then set the host name with the full FQDN. Run the update command to get the latest version of the package list and then install the bind9 related packages. Add the -4 option, so because we are using only the IPv4. Then restart the bind9 service. Next, let's edit the option configuration file. Here we are creating an access list for the trusted clients. So we list all the 4 VMs that we created, the IP address of those VMs. I'm enabling recursion and then adding the allow recursion option with the trusted DNS clients. Then the IP address on which this DNS server will be listening on. Next, I will disable the zone transfer by default. Then the forwarder list with the public DNS servers and also the local service provider DNS server as well. I'm disabling the DNSSEC validation as I am running into some timeout issue. So next, let's edit the local file. Here we define the zone for forward lookup as well as the reverse lookup. So the zone name for the forward lookup is sfo.munduscloud.io. So we are setting this as a master, and then the zone file path. And then allow transfer hosts. In this case, it will be a secondary DNS server. Next, we are defining the zone for reverse lookup. So this name is defined in the etc bind zones.rfc file. So because we are using 192.168 network, so I'm using that. So once this is done, we will have to create those zone files, DB files, so that we can add the DNS record. So we are creating the zones directory. And then there is a template file for the forward lookup as well as the reverse lookup zone definition file. So I'm leveraging that. So in this forward zone file, let's edit the start of authority record with the primary DNS server name. Next, we will have to edit the serial number. So whenever there is a change, we have to increment this number, and then we will add the NS record for the DNS servers that we have created, primary and secondary. So now we are adding a record for the DNS servers. Next, we'll be adding a record for the host servers, which are the DNS clients. Now let's create a copy of the reverse lookup file template and then add the reverse lookup records. Same way we update the host name, then increment the serial number to reflect the change, and then we'll be adding the name server record for the DNS servers. Now adding the PTR record for the DNS servers as well as the clients. So the each record we have that last 2 octets of the IP address in the reverse order. Now adding the PTR record for the DNS clients. Next we will verify the configurations so far we created. So first we will check the options configuration files, and then now we are verifying the zone files. So the configurations are good. Now we will be restarting the bind service. So the bind service is up and running. So let's do the NS lookup, the primary DNS server itself. So NS lookup primary DNS. So both forward and reverse lookup are good for the primary DNS FQDN. Now let's do the secondary DNS servers FQDN. So the DNS lookup on the secondary FQDN is failing. So we will have to update the resolve D services configuration. So about the newly created DNS server. So let's add it. Now the systemd resolve D service is going to be restarted so that it will pick up the config. Next we will create the net plan configuration and then apply that as well. Sometimes I see the reverse lookup was not working, even the resolve D configuration is updated. Okay, let's apply using the net plan try command so that it will verify the config and then we can apply. Okay, so now let's do the NS lookup. Okay, cool. Secondary. Next, let's configure the secondary DNS server. So basically we will have to repeat the same steps like setting the host name, installing the bind 9 packages, and then add the configuration file. But only in the options configuration and zone configuration file we will have to make some changes to reflect that it is a secondary or slave, I would say. So let's see. We are setting the default value. Now we are restarting that service. So in the option file, we'll have to specify the type as slave to reflect that this server is a slave server. And then the file, instead of path, we just give only the file name. And then we'll have to specify the master. Same thing we have to do for the reverse lookup. So next we have to verify the configuration. And then restart the bind service. Forward and the reverse NS lookup on the secondary DNS server FQDN is good. So next let's apply the DNS server details, both using the net plan as well as the resolve the configuration file, and then we will do the DNS lookup on both primary FQDN. Next let's configure the application or the host servers in the network. We have just set the host name, and then we'll have updating the packages to the latest version, and then now we'll be applying the net plan configuration. Before that, let's verify the resolve control status, where it is where it's pointing to the current DNS server. So now it is 64.1. After applying the net plan, we should see our DNS servers. Yes. Next, we will be updating the resolved.conf file with the newly created DNS server information. So we are applying that. We are saving that config and restart the systemd resolved. Now we should be able to do the NS lookup on secondary DNS servers FQDN and others as well. Same thing we have to do it in the database server. Now we can verify the external FQDNs, google.com. Yeah, that is also working fine. Now let's test the DNS server failover. So now I'm doing the DNS lookup from the database server, and let's see the current DNS server for this node. It is 64.82. Okay, so which is a primary DNS server. Now I'm going to stop that primary DNS server. I'm doing the NS lookup again. Now verifying the resolved control status. It is now pointing to the secondary DNS server. Okay, so it is switching to the secondary. Next, let's see how to enable the DNS access for new hosts added to the network. So the email server is being added to the network. So we have to set the DNS config through the netplan as well as the resolved.conf file as usual, and also we have to set the host name. So then NS lookup fails even after applying the DNS settings. What we have to do is we have to take the IP address of this email server and then add it to the trusted DNS clients in the options configuration file on the primary DNS server. Same way, we will have to add an appropriate DNS records in the forward and reverse zone files. So whenever the zone file is modified, we should increment the serial number. Once the zone files are updated, we have to restart the bindy service, and then in the email server we have to add the resolved.conf file which reflects the newly created DNS server. After adding that, we will have to restart the resolved service in the email server. Then it should do the NS lookup successfully. Okay, cool. We are able to look up web servers FQDN, and then the reverse lookup also should work. Hope this video is useful to you. Thanks for watching this. Have a great day.